Hello everyone, this is your host Bad Boogl. I really wanted to put out some content sooner than this, but it's been extremely hard to wrap my head around this information. I've written multiple scripts, but I haven't been satisfied with any of them yet. This isn't a perfect process, and I'm far from well educated on the subjects, but this feels like it's going to be the one. Because his research has been most influential in tying this all together, I'm going to mainly focus on Bjork's ideas about learning. I know most people have probably never heard that name, but there's really not enough time to fully explain who he is and still keep your attention for the rest of the video. Basically, he studies learning, and not just a method of learning, but rather the analysis of different learning methods and strategies. He and his colleagues aim to sort through some of the more popular styles of learning to tease out what is effective and what isn't effective. This isn't something that just started either. I'm not sure when the earliest works of his are, but I know that they date back at least until the 50s. Traditions and fads have been prevalent in the teaching community because of their deceptive results and intuitive structure. Things like blocking, studying one subject at a time, and massing, studying all at once rather than distributing it out, are intuitive and seem effective, especially in the short term. However, because of some controversial mechanisms of action, long-term retention is actually hindered by these two methods. I don't want to speak for him, but I think Bjork would probably suggest that forgetting is an essential part of learning. More on that in another video. This begs the question, well, if these methods are so effective, why are they not in practice? To answer that shortly, they are. But it's a little more complicated than that question suggests. Just like blocking and massing lead us to believe we're making progress in the short term, spacing, interleaving, and change of context inversely lead us to believe that we're struggling to make progress. These methods contain difficulties, but as long as they're desirable difficulties, they should promote learning. Before we talk about what constitutes a desirable difficulty, let's talk about undesirable difficulties. I really want to talk about the interaction of working memory and task effectiveness and efficiency, but again, that will have to be later. Right now, just know that the mind isn't capable of handling an infinite number of variables at once. Having too many variables makes a task too hard and lowers the efficiency of acquisition. This is a pretty intuitive idea, if you take a moment to think about it. Say we've got Neat Mike, and I'm only picking on him because I think he's got a lot of potential to become a skillful player. He's obviously not new, but for the sake of this hypothetical, let's say that he is. Since he's new, we can't practice flip recovery shots. Even if he knows in theory how to do them, and he knows all the buttons on the controller, he should not be capable of performing something like this. It's not surprising. New people can't perform well, even if they theoretically know how to play well. This sort of dissonance can and does lead to a lot of frustration. I'll delve more into it later, but I think jumping right into ranked without an idea of how to play actually causes the player to develop worse strategies that become habituated. What I would like to propose is that players should play in an environment without the ball when they are starting out. For example, an obstacle course or playground. All of the buttons on the controller are complicated enough that simple aerial mechanics take a long time to learn, even without the added pressure of needing to perform, managing boost, keeping track of teammates and enemies, and watching the ball. It's ridiculous to expect this much from ourselves right away, so let's avoid the frustration that's sure to follow our inferior performance and slow acquisition. Even if we're not inexperienced players, playing outside the context of regular games is very important to bettering our mechanics. I don't want to get into it, but I know someone will be saying, I heard someone say, don't worry about mechanics so much, just worry about positioning and teamwork. So I pretty much need to. Fundamental mechanics to a certain degree precede teamwork and positioning. Why is that the case? If we lack the ability to perform as our teammates expect us to, we're going to confuse them. Especially if we're in a phase in which we're still hesitant to employ what we know. If Neat Mike keeps backing down from challenges that he should be taking, it's going to mess up everyone's rotation, and it's going to make Neat Mike even worse. There's a whole bunch of other arguments I can make for this, but another strong one is that frustration can come from unexpected results or an inability to achieve desired results. This means that we'll likely be frustrated. Since just like multitasking, frustration or worry can degrade our mental resources, we'll be entering into a potentially vicious cycle. I'll explain later, but for nerds, anxiety causes worry, which impedes inhibition functions associated with proper functioning of the central executive and related parts. Since I'm not sure how much longer we can stay on this topic without my brain exploding, I want to start wrapping things up here. There will be detailed videos in the curriculum for the potential practical application of these methods. that is spacing, interleaving, change of context, and maybe even generation. And to review, things like massing and blocking have been shown to impede long-term learning, so if you're a coach, please be careful of the methods that you employ. A short-term improvement of performance may seem ideal, but it's potentially harming our learners in the long term. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the content and want to see more videos like this produced. Thank you for watching. Peace.